Coming to you from behind the crazy socialist lines of the Pacific Northwest, this is the Behind the Line podcast. Here we give you the real deal about local, national, and world news that matters to Constitution-loving people. We feature regular podcasts, and we also feature headlines in 3 minutes daily and breaking news reports when they happen. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel and find us on other social media sites such as Telegram, Net News Network, YouTube, Anchor FM, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, Gab, and Facebook. We're also found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and anywhere podcasts are found. We appreciate you being here, and thank you for listening. Jay Inslee held a press conference today for his supplemental budget that's going to be released in January's session. Well over $1 billion for a supplemental budget. It's much higher than a normal supplemental budget would be. But he, of course, says that we've got all these major issues that have to be addressed, and it's time for Washington to take big action. He loves his emergencies, doesn't he? And so $850 million he wants to spend on housing for homeless people. I don't know, you can't take a look in Seattle and see that throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at homeless people does not solve the problem. It's only continued to get worse. It's going to continue to get worse, and this $850 million is not going to fix the problem. If he wants to fix the problem, he needs to address the root causes of homelessness, which is drug addiction and mental illness. These aren't people who can't afford to pay rent in Seattle and they're on the streets. These are drug addicts and mentally ill people, overwhelmingly. And anybody that's spent any time around these people would know this and would not believe that it's got something to do with economics or equity. It's funny because if you look at their social justice plans and all this other garbage they come up with, at least for King County, they talk directly about addressing the root of the problem, yet they don't, and neither does the state. All they want to do is spend lots and lots and lots of money. You can't just give somebody a house that's addicted to drugs or mentally ill, or an apartment or whatever. The other thing he wants to spend lots and lots of millions of dollars on is school kids' mental health, because they're still trying to recover from his ridiculous shutdown. And yeah, I mean, it's understandable, and you know, it needs to be addressed, but he's responsible for that directly. Of course, he won't say anything about that, but you know, he creates a problem, and now he has to spend hundreds of millions of dollars for a solution to that problem. And our schools are hurting in this state, and they need more than just counselors and whatever other stupid, ridiculous garbage this guy's going to come up with to try to put a band-aid on this problem. He also wants to spend millions of dollars on salmon, because he says salmon are almost extinct. I think that's somewhat inaccurate. I mean, I read a report either last year or the year before that said, I believe, pinks had returned in bigger numbers than ever before, or in at least many, many years. And there's just always got to be some kind of massive crisis or emergency with this guy. And he's the quarterback that's going to win the Super Bowl, right? The bottom line is Inslee throws our tax money around like it's monopoly money, like it's a bottomless pit, and eventually it's just going to mean more taxes for all of us, because we're going to have to pay for all his little pet projects and all these things that he wants to do to try to make himself some kind of hero. This stuff has to be paid for, and we're already paying too much in taxes. You know, he talked about spending millions of dollars on poverty programs and this sort of thing to address issues with poverty. Well, this guy is creating poverty in this state with taxes and policies that he has. He makes it impossible for anybody to get ahead. They're always looking for some way to take something out of your paycheck. And, you know, when are people going to wake up and realize that these Democrats just want their money? They want you to be reliant on state programs and state assistance to survive. They don't want you to be self-sufficient. They don't want you to survive on your own income. They want you to be on welfare. When are we going to stop voting these people into office? I'll tell you, the only thing that needs to happen in this session come January is for Inslee to have his emergency powers stripped and for us to go back to a normal legislative branch of government, making decisions based on what its people ask its representatives to do. That is how government works. We're not supposed to have a king sitting on his throne who thinks he's some kind of NFL Super Bowl quarterback making every decision for us. Enough is enough. In other Washington news, the 2 Tacoma police officers who were charged with the death of Manny Ellis after the Attorney General decided to review that case after it was already determined that they acted appropriately. And the Attorney General, Bob Ferguson, old sideshow, wanted to pull some stunt after all this George Floyd stuff went on and make a spectacle out of this and charge these 2 officers. After another investigation, they were found to have acted appropriately, and they've been exonerated, and they will get to go back to work. And I hope they sue the state. Ellis's family attorney tried to make some kind of argument after this decision, saying that they had put a spit hood on him when he was handcuffed behind his back on the ground, and the Tacoma Police Department has a policy specifically about not putting a spit hood on somebody if they're face down on the ground and handcuffed. Well, a spit hood may sound like some sort of enclosed bag or something that goes over your head, but that is not the case. I've used spit hoods when I worked for the fire department and the police department, and they're sort of like a fabric type bag, sort of made out of the same material that the disposable masks are made out of. And the part that goes over your face is actually just a mesh screen that you can easily breathe through. There's no, you just can't spit through it. Thus, the spit hood. It would not stop you from breathing. He was trying to infer that somehow this spit hood killed the guy while he was on the ground. So, even if there's a policy against that, that would not cause somebody to die. You can easily breathe through a spit hood. Like I said, the whole front of the hood is mesh. Anyway, I'm sure that one stung old sideshow Bob, since he's so big on winning all the time. Winning. He likes to brag about it on social media every time. In all the many cases that he files against many different people and organizations. That guy's probably filed more lawsuits than any state attorney general in U.S. history. Anyway, congratulations to those two officers who get their lives back, surprisingly, in this blue state where they would love nothing more than to ruin their lives and incarcerate them for doing their jobs. In other law enforcement news in this state, all these dumbass cities that fired all these cops after the George Floyd thing and wanted to defund, and now they're trying desperately to hire cops back because crime is, wow, surprisingly gone through the roof because there's not as many cops on the street. Now, not only are they having a hard time hiring cops and having to pay large hiring bonuses, they're having to wait for months. And I called this quite some time ago that this was going to happen. They're having to wait anywhere from 4 to 7 months to get officers into the Criminal Justice Academy, Law Enforcement Academy. And then you're talking, somewhere around a year of field training once they complete the academy and go back to their respective department before they can even be on their own. And so now you've got all these police departments with dangerously low staffing levels, and you're looking at like a year and a half to 2 years before they're even able to put more cops back on the road. Great thinking ahead by these Democrat-run cities. The Criminal Justice Training Academy even added 4 or 5 classes to try to get more through, and they're still, by their numbers, at a 4-month wait to get into the academy. Yakima police chief is saying that he was told 7 months to get his people in. Spokane Police Department was told something similar. Spokane wanted to start their own academy and was denied by the Criminal Justice Training Academy to do that. And apparently they took that to court, and the court also denied their request to have their own academy, which seems a little ridiculous. Maybe the state should open another academy on the east side if we're having this much of a backlog or problem getting officers on the streets. Lots of forward thinking going on in these city councils and city mayors who just want to appease the crowd and go with whatever's trendy in the country. It happened to be anti-cop movement last year, and look what that's got us. Look at King County, record numbers of shootings and homicides and drug seizures and all this stuff. Pure insanity that they would run their cities this way and handle public safety in such a callous manner. And aside from all the public safety issues, that's just more of your tax monies being flushed down the toilet because they got rid of a bunch of cops or didn't hire when they had vacancies, and now they've got to try to refill those vacancies, and they're having to pay hiring bonuses because nobody wants to come work for them because they're such fine, upstanding public servants. And I just think these city council members need to be held accountable for this stuff. They need to be voted out of office. The people that run these cities are just a bunch of idiots. If you ran a business like that, you'd be out of business. Look at Seattle. You got an incompetent mayor and city council that's lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. They've spent hundreds of millions of dollars on all these social issues and homelessness with no accountability, no tracking of where money went and what it was used for, and no results. And yet, we continue to put these people back in office over and over, expecting some sort of different result. It literally makes no sense whatsoever. Things are just going to continue to get worse for the foreseeable future. And if you live in a big city around here, I would suggest you start looking for someplace on the outskirts of the city, someplace that might be a little safer. You might have to drive a little further for work, but I'm telling you, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, and you do not want to be in the cities. You just don't. Stay safe out there, folks. You're on your own. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Behind the Line podcast at behindthelinepodcast.com. If you liked this, I hope you will like, share, and subscribe to our channel. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook at Behind the Line WA. You can find us on Twitter at Behind WA. You can also find us on Telegram and LinkedIn at Behind the Line. And I'm on Rumble. Thanks again for listening, and I appreciate your support.